High spots and cheap pops, you're on the air.
High spots and cheap pops. Swerve called out the Elite, which we talked about, which is why we think Hangman's going to the Elite maybe now.
I think Hangman's going to with Kenny, man.
Now with Swerve calling out the Young Bucks, man, I don't know. And why? I know. And that's kind of a little bit of a thing we got going on here. I think we both think we're 100% right. I don't know if I'm 100% right. But with Swerve calling out the Young Bucks have reinforced my feeling that Hangman, if not initially, at least eventually is going to turn on Kenny and going to side with the Bucks. If Swerve doesn't do that, then I'm thinking, well, maybe you're right. But again, they suspended Hangman for a reason and they fired Kenny for a reason. There was a distinction there. I know you don't like the booking of that, but the reality is there was a distinction between the two. And with, again, you add Swerve to it. Why did Hangman get suspended? Because he attacked a referee for trying to count a pin for Swerve. Like, Hangman was obsessed with Swerve. So does he go away and not loses his obsession? Doesn't make for great wrestling. And is he going to be fighting? I don't know.
This is where I'm a little bit hesitant on the idea, is like, because now, say if Hangman were to go defeat Swerve, now he's the world champion. And now he's like sort of one-upped Okada. And Okada's the guy for the Bucks.
I don't think Hangman's beating him for a championship. I just think he's going to be a heel. I never said that he I do not think Hangman's winning a world championship anytime soon. No, that wasn't part of my thinking. I'm just saying he's going to turn heel with the Bucks. Again, why would Swerve call him out like that then? That to me is big.
Well, he's the world champ. It's his company, if you will. And he's, sticking up for Tony Khan. I mean, in the future, what I'm looking at is I'm thinking Will Ospreay is going for the world title at the next Wembley show, right? And
I don't know, because I think he's going to have this international championship. He's beating Roderick Strong. I think he might try to make that title kind of the way RVD made the TV title. So he might have that title for a little while. Because theoretically, All In's going to happen the next year as well. And then it's a little bit more of a journey for him to win the world title. A little bit more of a struggle, which we've seen plays out.
I see what you're saying. But again, it's like when he comes out, like 2 weeks ago when Dynamite was at Daly's place in Jacksonville, that crowd was dead often. But when he came out, they got to their feet. And it's just like they've caught lightning in a bottle with this guy. And I'd rather have 4 main events with that dude or whatever, how many years that he's under contract at Wembley, at that event, and for something prestigious like the world title. But that's just me, man. I don't know. I just, because then I'm thinking, okay, I wouldn't necessarily want Swerve to drop to, say, Ospreay in Wembley. But I would be more than happy to see Hangman lose, especially if that's weakening the EVP in position by, if it was Hangman versus Ospreay.
Hangman is not main eventing All In either. Hangman's not that big of a star. I mean, they know who he is now. So I don't.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I don't think Hangman's touching Will Ospreay at All In. I don't think that's even a remote possibility. I don't think Hangman's winning the world title either. In terms of Swerve and that's the thing. I don't know if the timing's right. Because, you're going to have him for another couple of years. You have him under contract for a few years. I don't know if there's a rush. He's just in the company for 6 months. He gets the world championship. I don't know. I don't know if I would agree with that.
What I want is the opposite of Bryan Danielson.
Bryan
I don't want to wait. People get injured, all that sort of shit. You and I argued about the Bucks and FTR all those years ago. We'll get to it. It's now. It's hot now. Do it now. That's just my feeling on it. But
yeah, but then you got to sacrifice Swerve, and he's a transitional champion. He only has a title for 5 months. If you're trying, that's hard to do. If you're trying to say, okay, Swerve is not a transitional champion, you have him drop the title in less than 5 months. I don't know.
Swerve would be losing to probably the greatest wrestler on the planet, though. Sorry.
Understood, but again, why would you give Ospreay this championship? They might do it because but why would you give him the international championship at Double or Nothing? Is he just going to do title for title? Again, you're only talking to 2.5 months later, 3 months later, you're doing All In. I don't know. I don't know why you're going to give him every champion. You're going to give him a championship before he wins the big one. I don't think it's the right time for Ospreay for All In this year. I really don't. I don't think I would rather a long-term story with him struggling. I really would. And then having that bigger moment, which means a little bit more. Same as it did with Cody, to be quite frank. Which is interesting because we wanted them to pull the trigger on Cody there. But at that point in time, Cody was there a year and he had at least a storyline more momentum. And he was a sympathetic character. And you know what? Look how great that moment was this past WrestleMania 40. And so I think the moment could be bigger if they do All In with a little bit of a struggle. They do All In 2025 for Mr. Ospreay. But who knows, man? I mean, they could pull the trigger on him. I get what you're saying. You want him to be the star of the company, but he wins the title, and you're going to have him lose another 6 months, 8 months, and then, who's going to main event the next All In? I mean, you got options here. So, and again, I don't want to see Swerve lose the title in 5 months. I really don't. That's something that's a little funky.
I know. I get it. I mean, I do like Swerve and all that, but he's Ospreay's the one guy that I would have beat him, honestly. Like, I just wouldn't keep it from him.
And you're going to do
He's the guy that goes.
I don't like the babyface versus babyface either.
But they do it, man, and that's the thing. I don't, they don't adhere to that nature of wrestling. They'll have two heelish guys go at it, and you're not sure who's the babyface out of those. And here's two babyfaces. So,
yeah, I don't like it though.
yeah. No,
I'd rather Ospreay go with the entire crowd. I'm sure he would. He's being British, but I'd like Ospreay to have the entire crowd and have his opponent have a ton of heat. That's what I want, and want that crowd to want him to win so bad that their nipples get hard. That's how bad I want them to want Ospreay to win. And if you give him the Ospreay win already, I think you can have him establish the international title back to even something beyond what Orange Cassidy did with it. Again, similar to what RVD did with the TV title in ECW. And then he can lose it sometime later this year or early next year. And then he has that struggle to get that world championship. And he finally does it at All In 2025. That's how I would do it. I get what you're saying about injuries and things like that. But Bryan Danielson's 43, 44 years of age, and he has a history of injury problems. Will Ospreay, 30, and he doesn't have many injury issues at all at this particular point in time. And he's starting to work a bit smarter. So I don't think you could go in there with a 30-year-old, might get hurt, so we have to do it now. I think you got to do what's best for your story. But that's me. Now, it's not saying that they will. They might do exactly what you're saying and shoehorn a world championship into Will Ospreay on top of giving him the international championship and all that. But it's not what I would do. I would wait, especially because you have Bryan Danielson's last match at All In as well. And that could be and if that's going to be his last match as a full-time guy, last match for a while, then they might want a special moment with that as well. So those are a couple of things why I'm thinking that Ospreay doesn't get the world championship this year.
I get what you're saying entirely, but I strike when the iron's hot with this for sure.
Agree to disagree, Vladi.
Absolutely.
You're the reasonable one, right?
Absolutely. The masses have spoken. You're the one with the agenda. That was obvious.
Let me tell you something. Anyone who thought you were the reasonable one, I mean, I talked to my neighbor about it, and he said I was the reasonable one, not you. So that's all I got to say about that. But it's okay. The debate is over. CM Punk versus the Elite. That's over. We're never talking about that again. I'm not. You can all you want. I'm not. Over it. But anyway. But we'll see. They have a lot of options, though. We'll see what happens. But you and I think, staunchly disagree on Hangman. We staunchly disagree on if Will Ospreay should win the world title. So it's okay. You could be wrong sometimes too, right?
I don't know. It hasn't really happened.
Thank you so much for watching High Spots and Cheap Pops. For Vladi Dottie, this is Silicon Steve Valli. Hit the subscribe button and let us know what you think. Thank you for watching, and here endeth the lesson.